As MRC-TV viewers might know, I frequently have reported on the fact that more gun ownership among peace-loving civilians in a geographic or a political zone is strongly correlated to a statistically significant reduction in violent crime. I've also reported on the clear fact that government so-called bans and buybacks of firearms don't reduce violent crime. Despite pop media fantasies, violent crime increased for years in Australia and England after those nations instituted draconian anti-rights statutes, while at the same time, violent crime decreased in the U.S. over that period, even as more Americans stocked up on guns. Well, now new FBI statistics add to the wealth of information showing how armed, peace-loving people are an effective force against criminal activity. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV, and this is a great story via Dave Workman, who's writing for AmmoLand. Quote, according to the FBI's expanded homicide data for 2020, law enforcement used firearms 298 times in fatal line-of-duty shootings, while private citizens killed 343 suspected felons during the commission of a felony. End quote. These were categorized as justifiable homicides. And the statistics, if one takes them on face value, accepting the argument that all of them are justified, as defined by the FBI and various local and state justice systems, well, these stats make sense, since police can't be everywhere and armed citizens far outnumber cops. As I mentioned last week for MRC-TV, there is validity to the saying, when seconds count, police are just minutes away. And as Workman writes, Alan Gottlieb, chairman of the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, was not surprised by the new data. If the FBI data published in their crime report for 2020 is accurate, he said, it is ample evidence that the individual right to keep and bear arms for personal defense is as important today as it was when the Second Amendment was adopted as a cornerstone of the Bill of Rights. End quote. Indeed, from that period to today, the practicality of the right to self-defense certainly holds. And as Lawrence Reed explained about U.S. arms ownership for the Foundation for Economic Education back in 2019, quote, guns prevent an estimated 2.5 million crimes a year, or 6,849 every day. Most often the gun is never fired, and no blood, including the criminals, is shed. Every year, 400,000 life-threatening violent crimes are prevented using firearms. 60% of convicted felons admitted that they avoided committing crimes when they knew the victim was armed. 40% of convicted felons admitted that they avoided committing crimes when they thought the victim might be armed. Felons report that they avoid entering houses where people are at home because they fear being shot. Fewer than 1% of firearms are used in the commission of a crime. End quote. And even if the practicality of firearms ownership were ever to be unproven, or the U.S. Constitution were ever amended to claim that politicians could infringe on the right to keep and bear arms, well, the right would still stand. It would stand preeminent, prior to the existence of any form of government. It's tied to the God-given right of existence, which no man is supposed to assail, period. This new information simply reiterates the salutary effect of firearm ownership. But don't expect the Biden administration or any other politicians to acknowledge it. Well, maybe there could be a few. Maybe a few. We'll cross our fingers. Hey, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll see you there. As I say, I'll see you in Rumble. I'm going to get in there and start talking to people in Rumble as well. And we love Rumble because they don't censor us, as I try to mention recently the past couple months. It's terrific to see what they've been doing there. And they're starting live streaming. They're doing all sorts of great stuff at Rumble. I'm on Gab, another very good site. It's sort of a Twitter alternative and free speech oriented. Andrew Torba, the man behind it, has done great work at Gab. And that's at Gardner Goldsmith on Gab, and I'm on Twitter at GuardGoldsmith. And of course, you can find the whole team at MRCTV.org. So check out underneath the little box all of the different social media sites where you can find MRC TV, and try to be sure to go to MRCTV.org. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.